All right, so welcome back to a miniature episode of News Dose today. Today is going to be a little bit different just because of Gamescom's opening night live event. I'm actually really excited about that. But there has been a couple big developments over the last 24 hours that I at least wanted to go over before then. One is that we got an update on the Xbox Activision Blizzard situation. Everybody's been expecting news to drop this month. And, well, as this case is just so often presented, we got another curveball today. But overall, I do think that this is good for all involved. Then a little later on, we'll talk about the genius accessory that Xbox just announced. This actually really surprised me in a good way. Really just another example of competition breeds excellence. Let's go and get right into the big story, though, and talk about what happened with the CMA. They previously committed to an August 29th deadline. As we all know, that was the supposed date that the final decision would come through. I mean, come on, we just all want this to end by this point, right? But sadly, it must go on a little longer. The new deadline is now set for October 18th. It actually took Microsoft a while to submit their new restructure deal, which I think does make sense in retrospect. Microsoft just today submitted this restructure deal, and I think that's why we're seeing a little bit of a delay here. But as previously suggested, it is radically different. That involves a divestiture. They are indeed selling their Activision Blizzard cloud-based rights to, surprisingly, Ubisoft. I think that right there is the reason it took Microsoft so long to submit this new deal to the CMA. I imagine they were working things out with Ubisoft behind the scenes, just trying to reach an agreement on pricing and all the finer details. Microsoft isn't just negotiating with the CMA, they're also negotiating with Ubisoft. And here is what they came up with. So Ubisoft will control Activision Blizzard cloud games for the next 15 years. That's a very long time. That is quite extensive. And that means that Activision Blizzard cloud games will be available on Ubisoft Plus. Now, I've seen a lot of confusion on this, and let me just go and clear something up. This is just in regards to cloud games. Ubisoft Plus will not get native Activision Blizzard games. The only subscription as of this moment that will get native Activision Blizzard games is Game Pass, which is what Microsoft has wanted all along. Another part about this deal, though, is that Activision Blizzard games cannot be exclusive to Xbox's cloud streaming service. That's not really a surprise, though, and truthfully, even without this deal, it was always Microsoft's intent to keep Activision Blizzard games on multiple cloud-based services. They had already reached a deal with multiple cloud-based providers. But on the other side of things, Ubisoft is one of the biggest cloud-based providers out there, and they're also a well-known name in the gaming world, so I actually view this as a win for gamers who play on the cloud. And that right there is kind of the thing about all this. I've seen a lot of people really angry at the CMA for delaying this acquisition for so long, and I do agree. I don't like how the CMA has handled this situation either. I think that they've been utterly ridiculous throughout this entire ordeal, but this is where we are. And under this situation, I think that this new restructure deal is actually a win for both regulators and Microsoft alike. Or at least when it comes to the CMA and the EU. The FTC still looks like buffoons, let's be honest about that. The CMA, though, will look strong by getting this concession, and Microsoft, well, they're going to get exactly what they wanted all along. They wanted Activision Blizzard games for Xbox Game Pass, and they wanted their mobile catalog, which they're going to get both of those. And they'll have complete control of Activision Blizzard games on PC and the console market. Now, Call of Duty will be multi-platform, of course. We've all known this pretty much from day one. But Activision Blizzard will strengthen Xbox's core businesses with their consoles, PC, and Game Pass subscriptions. That's what Microsoft wanted, and they are going to get that. Now, cloud gaming, that is the only downfall here. And, I mean, let's be real about this. That's minuscule in the grand scheme of things, which makes the CMA stance, I mean, really even more baffling. I mean, this is a lot of hubbub over just 1% of gaming, with really no guarantee for future success. But again, that's kind of where we are right now. And so long as Microsoft gets Activision Blizzard to the finish line with those core services intact, well, then I'd say that they kind of won here. And that's really all there is to it. However, there are a few things that we need to kind of go over here because this does raise some important questions. One is in regards to the EU. Microsoft previously made concessions with them as well. So does this new contract affect them at all? And okay, so there is actually a possibility that it could. Though I don't really think that this is anything to freak out about. So the EU did respond in an MLEX report, and this is what they said. The EU Commission is carefully assessing whether the developments in the UK require another notification to the Commission. Okay, so I've seen some people respond to this statement online and are like, oh no, this is going to delay the deal even further. It's dead, blah, 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 blah. But no. Again, there's no reason to freak out about this. Keep in mind that the EU has already passed the Activision Blizzard deal with concessions. If they do go back and decide that they need to look at these new concessions, then a decision would likely be swift. Again, they've already accepted the deal once, and really it's just kind of, now do they want to accept the old concessions, or do they want to go back and look at these new concessions? So everybody just needs to calm down. The EU is going to pass this deal one way or the other. It's just a matter of, do they need to go back and look at this? The last part about this news, though, is really just about the new deadline being on October 18th. I mean, I have to admit, that is a little disappointing because I know we were all hoping that August 29th's deadline would be pretty much it, but here we are. Acquisition that just never really ends, right? Please, let it be over. But again, it sounds like Microsoft took a while to submit their new restructured deal, which I think is actually understandable considering they did have to work with Ubisoft behind the scenes. But the CMA technically could approve this new restructured contract prior to October 18th. They did previously suggest to the CAT that they wanted to reach a conclusion before August 29th, so that still applies in this case as well. October 18th really is just a deadline, not necessarily the exact date of the announcement. An announcement could happen sometime next week, or it could even happen in September. However, according to a report by The Verge, Microsoft isn't expecting to close the deal until early October. So we might have to sit tight for a little while longer than we wanted, but I think as long as they complete its deal before that October 18th deadline, then it's really not going to affect them too much for the short term. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, that's the big Activision game coming out, and that's after October 18th, so I think that Microsoft will be good to go as long as they can get that deal complete by October 18th deadline. So as always, let's just kind of see how this plays out, but I'm pretty optimistic right now. It's been a long, wild ride, but I think this is it. Microsoft will get this acquisition through, and now it's finally within reach. Speaking of Xbox, though, they did make a big announcement yesterday that really took me by surprise. I mean, we always knew that the PlayStation 5 could be customized because you can remove its outer shells, but now, the Xbox Series X, that can also be customized as well because they just announced Xbox Series X wraps. I mean, this is truly genius. You can take a look here where they said the wraps were designed specifically for Series X and have a custom precision fit. Every detail was taken into consideration to ensure your console performance is preserved. Vents are clear, and small feet were added to the bottom of the wraps to ensure air can flow freely through the console. Made with solid core panels that are layered with high-tech fabric finishes, the wraps are folded around your console and secured with a hook and loop enclosure. The interior of the wraps are printed with silicone designs that keep the wrap in place. I mean, I actually love this idea. Pre-orders are already live, and they're going for $50, which puts it right in line with the PlayStation 5 covers, which I believe those are $55, and you can choose from 3 different options. They have Arctic Camo and Mineral Camo, but the big inclusion here is the Starfield-themed Xbox Series X wrap. It fits perfectly with that new Starfield-themed controller. So yeah, you don't have to go out and buy a $550 limited edition Xbox Series X. That's what we've always had to do in the past, but now we can actually instead buy these wraps, which they look really nice. They look high quality, and the design, I mean, is just pure genius here. I've already pre-ordered the Starfield edition myself, but this is just kind of the beginning of a whole new chapter, a whole new line of products from Xbox. I mean, if you really think about this, Xbox, they're pretty creative with their controller designs, and I'd say that they actually make some of the best controllers in the business, just period. I mean, those Forza Horizon 5 and Starfield controllers, as an example, they are straight up fire. They look absolutely excellent. And now Xbox's design team, they can have some fun with these Xbox Series X wraps as well. I'm actually really excited to see what they come up with. I mean, maybe some Halo wraps in the future. They have Gears of War, that being my favorite Xbox franchise, Hi-Fi Rush, and who knows, maybe Diablo or Call of Duty once that Activision buyout completes. For that matter, I mean, they have Overwatch and they have Crash Bandicoot, even Spyro the Dragon. They could also do something special with the upcoming Fable and Perfect Dark releases. The possibilities here are truly endless, and it's all at an affordable price, being $50. I think that's a pretty good price personally, especially when you consider to get things like this in the past, you'd had to pay $550 for that limited edition console. But hey, I might cover this topic a little bit more once I actually get my hands on one, really kind of test the quality out myself. Maybe I'll just go ahead and give you all some impressions then. Let me know what you all think about all this, though. Do you like the idea of Xbox Series X wraps? Let me know. But hey, that's it for this video. I know it's a little bit on the shorter side of things today. But in the meantime, do go have some fun with Gamescom. I know I'm personally excited about that. But until next time, peace out.